We're here this morning with Mary Beth and Peter Smitterly of Moniclaire Vineyards. Today's date is September 9th, 2008, and it's a momentous date in some respects, Peter, because we understand you brought your fruit in today.
That's right. The fruit was spectacular. It was the most even ripened fruit that we've ever had here in terms of how it was all perfectly sugared, and the acids were just where we wanted them to be. A small crop this year, so we won't have as many cases in the 08 as we do of the 07, but I think it's going to be really good.
Okay, and what fruit did you bring in? Your Zinfandel and your Petite Sirah?
Zinfandel and Petite Sirah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you're making about 50 cases of Petite Sirah?
No, actually it's about 100.
We're up to 100. About 100?
Yeah, we've almost doubled production.
Okay.
Yeah, we're big time now.
All right. And the 08 will be your second, third vintage? Or?
It'll be our 5, 6, 7, our fourth commercial vintage. Our first commercial vintage was the 05, which just got the gold medal.
Okay. And your Zinfandel now, you're up to maybe 200 cases?
250.
250 cases. So we're looking at about 350 cases from Moniclaire for the 2008 vintage. We're here in the Dry Creek Valley, just off of Linton Springs Road.
Yep.
And Mary Beth, can you tell us a little bit about your label on Moniclaire? We're very intrigued with it. Looks like the silhouettes are of,
well, our winery is named after our daughters, Monica and Claire. And when they were very young, we have an artist acquaintance that actually drew that, a silhouette of them. And on our label, he put their faces, kind of. And he put our initials, Peter and Mary, and he said, "They're coming forward and you're moving away." And he put us on boats sailing away.
They're becoming more important, and you're becoming less important.
And we were like, that's kind of a strange thing to say about that little drawing he did. But we ended up really falling in love with the drawing, so that's how we ended up using that label.
And the girls, Monica and Claire, will be fourth generation in the Smitterly family.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to your father or grandfather, Peter, and your history in the wine industry?
Sure. My grandfather came over from Italy in 1902. They settled in Southern California in Cucamonga, down when it was still a great wine growing area. He was a vineyard manager down there for one of the wineries, and that's where my dad learned. He was working for my grandfather, and my father also went into that business and used to run wineries in all over Southern and Central California. My brother and myself got into the business, so we were the third generation, and of course we have Moniclaire, and my brother is with a winery over in Lodi, and the girls are here with us in the Dry Creek Valley. They're fourth generation, and actually
we hope they take to the wine business.
Well, Claire's starting to develop a real interest in it, and eventually we think Monica will too, but we'll wait and see. So it's all four generations that have been in the United States.
You've chosen to produce and plant on your estate or property here the winery Petite Sirah and Zinfandel. Mm-hmm. When we think of Dry Creek Valley, a lot of times we think of Zinfandel. Petite Sirah maybe isn't as common or as well known. Is there a reason why you've chosen those two grapes, and are those the two varietals that you're producing on the
Well, actually, our terrain is really leans towards Zinfandel. This is a great Zinfandel region.
Great shot. Yeah.
And we, of course, had our soils tested, and you
want
to explain why?
Yeah, sure.
Plus, we love Zinfandel.
Which helps. It's a great Zin region if you think about it. We've got Ridge down the street, we've got Moritzen over here, we've got Maple, all famous vineyards around us. And so it wasn't that difficult to decide what would be right here. We did spend a lot of time selecting the right clones for the area. And we picked, we have Puccini, Hambrecht, and Maple. So we picked that because as kind of this central theme. But one of the things that I discovered as I became more familiar with Zinfandel was how it could be, say, supplemented by Petite Syrah. And so we planted a little bit of Petite Syrah. And it turned out that the Petite Syrah was just wonderful. So we started producing it as a standalone varietal. And we've done really well with it. I really like it. Several people who have tried our wines have actually said that they prefer the Petite Syrah. It's a big wine. It can stand up to just about any food. And so we're real happy with it. Everything, by the way, Kevin, gets French oak. 100% French oak. Not a large percentage, probably about 20% new oak, right. And the rest of it is neutral. But it's all French oak aged.
And they're 12 to 24 months in the barrel, or
12 to 24. Actually, the 06 Petite was in for 24 months.
Okay, and we're very much into the food pairings.
Yeah.
And we understand that Peter's the chef, the cook in the family.
That's true.
And any suggested food pairings?
That yeah. Well, you know, the Zinfandel, because it's a medium to heavy weighted wine, goes with a lot of different foods. I really like it with roasted chicken and with grilled pork loins, that type of thing, with pork chops, especially like a breaded pork chop with a little pasta on the side. It goes really well. But you know what? The other thing, because the wine isn't overly alcoholic, you can actually sip this wine. You don't have to have food with it for it to taste good.
Okay, and the Petite?
Ah, the big boy. That's a steak wine. That's a steak and pasta, and of course everything goes with cheese, but it goes wonderfully with cheese and a nice crusty bread. Another thing that I like the Petite with is leg of lamb.
Well, we want to thank Mary Beth and Peter for giving us their time this morning at their winery, Moniclaire Vineyards, and we look forward to continuing to work with them and enjoy their wines.
Thanks, Kevin.
Good to see you, Kevin.
It's good to see you, Peter. Thank you.